I'm a white cat orc. In a little over a month, I'll be able to turn into a human. One day, I was dozing in a cardboard box on the street when suddenly I was grabbed by the scruff of my neck. The man was wearing a black shirt and suit pants. He was tall with long legs, and he emitted the smell of a leopard that I hated. He picked me up, and our eyes met. In front of me was an extremely handsome and aggressive face. He looked fierce when he wasn't smiling. I was only stunned for a second. Then, I came to my senses and bared my teeth at him. Roar! Let me go! Just as I stretched out my claws to scratch him, suddenly a lot of men in black appeared behind him. The smell of a group of leopards mixed with the smell of blood. I wrinkled my nose. Boss Chin, why did you come to this alley? I was shocked when I heard this. Seeing the situation, I couldn't help but think, could this man be the legendary and extremely cruel leader of the leopard clan, Oliver? It is said that in order to seize the position of boss back then, he stepped on the corpses of countless leopards to rise to power, and he didn't even spare his own younger brother. I got scared, and my ears instantly flattened. I quickly retracted my sharp claws and turned them into paw pads. But I couldn't stop in time and accidentally stepped on his face with a thud. The feeling under my claws was soft. Oh no, I stepped on the big shot's face. Oliver gave me a smile, showing his fangs. I trembled with fear. The big shot held my paw and squeezed it. It seemed that he wasn't angry. His tone was full of interest. I've picked up a fun little thing. Just like that, I was taken back to the car by Oliver. I was on tenterhooks all the way. As we all know, the leopard and cat tribes are on bad terms. Leopard orcs look down on cats with gentle behaviors and feel ashamed to be in the same feline family with them. The cat tribe thinks that the leopard tribe's methods are too cruel and disdains to associate with them. Over the years, the two tribes have looked down on each other and refused to have any contact. But Oliver seems to have regarded me as an ordinary cat. I was held down by my two paws and he sniffed me from head to tail. There was an abnormal fanaticism in his eyes. While stroking me, he even let out a low laugh. The little thing is so cute. He played with my ears, face, belly, and even the bell. Oliver's face was very close, and his hot breath hit me. Is this leopard boss a pervert? I fluffed up my fur. I really couldn't stand it anymore and showed my claws. I scratched a bloodstain on his neck. Oliver stopped his actions, stared at me with a gloomy face, and his eyes revealed danger. I chickened out again. He began slowly and calmly. Your claws are quite sharp. If you scratch again, I'll pull them all out. My heart tightened. When a cat is under the eaves, it has to bow its head. I carefully licked his wound and meowed in a flattering, high-pitched voice. Meow. His look changed from dangerous to excited. My heart skipped a beat. Oh no. When we finally arrived at his place, my fur was in a complete mess and reeked of that stinky leopard. I wanted to groom myself, but I didn't know where to start. I'm dirty. Oliver's house is very big. He placed me on the sofa. He stroked my fur and said, Kitten, from now on, I'm your master. I gave him a sidelong glance. An orc will never be a slave. I turned around and showed him my backside. But unexpectedly, I felt a soft touch on my backside. I turned my head and was shocked. The big shot was burying his face in it and taking deep sniffs. Finally, he gave it a pat before getting up. He let out a low laugh and said, The kitten's butt is so soft. I was stunned. This leopard is really a pervert. Just as I was about to bare my teeth and warn him, I saw him start taking off his clothes. He slowly unbuttoned his black shirt, revealing his strong chest and 8-pack abs. Then came his pants. Is this a normal size? I stared blankly and swallowed hard. I have to say, this pervert has a really good figure. As a gay cat, I've also fantasized about meeting a tall and strong cat. It's a pity that before I could realize my dream, I was kicked out of the family. While I was peeping secretly, Suddenly Oliver grabbed me by the scruff of the neck. Take a bath together. I don't want to take a bath. Meow. As a cat, I naturally don't like water. I struggled desperately in his hand, and my forepaws flapped wildly in the air. Put me down quickly, or I'll bite you. But before I could bite, the whole cat was thrown into the bathtub. The next second, Oliver stepped in too. He placed me on his abs and rinsed me with warm water. I was held down by his big hand and struggled frantically. Oliver pressed me against his chest and patiently lathered me up. You've been wandering outside for so long and gotten dirty. You need to be cleaned up. I'm not dirty at all. Before I met him, I always licked myself clean. Until just now when he ruffled me up in the car. Thinking of this, my cat face blushed, and suddenly I thought taking a bath wasn't so bad. When it was time to rinse, I shook my fur maliciously and splashed him with foam all over his face. Oliver wasn't angry either. He flicked my cat head. Naughty cat. Then he picked up the shower head and rinsed himself. The water slowly flowed down from his hair, slid across his handsome face, and then further down. Looking at this scene, I suddenly felt a bit hot. Under my feet were his firm abs, and in front of me were his muscles with water droplets. By the time I realized it, I had already clawed at his chest and started licking. Oliver picked me up again, with a hint of playfulness in his eyes. You're still a lustful cat. I didn't meow. But the meows I made clearly lacked confidence. Stinky leopard, you've taken so much advantage of me. What's wrong with me just having a little lick? In the evening, Oliver put me on his bed. Before going to sleep, he buried his face in my chest and took a deep sniff. I pushed his big head countless times but couldn't push him away. I gave up. I lay on the bed, looking at the ceiling. Life as a cat is not easy. Finally, after he had his fill of sniffing, he stroked my head. Go to sleep, little cat. After that, I tried to escape, but Oliver took me everywhere and always insisted on holding me to sleep every night. When doing business, Oliver put me on his lap. While stroking my fur, he threatened the other party in a deep voice. If I get the meat, I'll leave you a little soup. Otherwise, I don't mind swallowing you up too. The person across from him trembled and forced a smile. I was pressed down by his big palm and couldn't move, so I could only vent my anger by biting his clothes. After finishing the business, Oliver would tear open a cat treat and wave it in front of my eyes. Act coquettishly, and I'll give it to you to eat. Act coquettishly, my ass. I'm a cat with dignity. But why does it smell so good? I was so tempted that I swallowed my saliva frantically. In the end, I rubbed against Oliver's hand spinelessly and let out a soft meow in a high-pitched voice. Meow. I'm a cat who can bend and stretch. Oliver stroked my back and said, Eat slowly. There's still a lot. I grabbed the cat treat with my front paws. Smells so good. When dealing with the traitor, Oliver would also take me with him. That traitor kept screaming and begged Oliver to spare him. But Oliver's expression remained unchanged, and he even smiled sinisterly. If you dare to betray me, you should pay the price. It was the first time I saw such a cruel scene, and I was so scared that I shrank into his arms and trembled. Oliver stroked my head and covered my eyes with his big palm. A gentle voice rang in my ear. Kitten, don't be afraid. Pressing against his palm, I thought that Oliver was really a very dangerous leopard. After it was over, he opened a can of cat food for me. While eating, I made up my mind, chewing away. Before turning into a human, chewing away, I must find a way to escape. The opportunity came soon. That day, Oliver went out to handle some business and didn't take me with him for the first time. Before he left, he stroked my head and said, Today's work is quite dangerous. Little cat, you stay at home and wait for me nicely. He really treats me like a pet cat guarding the house. I meowed expressionlessly, as if being pleased. He ruffled my head hard and said, "Good boy." I deliberately waited until noon and escaped when the housekeeper was taking a nap. Crawling onto the window quietly, I jumped out nimbly. Just walk a short distance more and I can reach the city center. Then I'll be free. I ran at full speed without daring to rest for a moment. Finally, I returned to my original place. I picked up a cardboard box beside the trash can and dragged it into the alley. Only after getting inside did I feel safe. Finally, I'm free. No longer being teased like a pet by that perverted leopard, nor being held down by him every night to be sucked on and held in his arms to sleep. Although that leopard has a very warm body temperature and often opens cat food cans for me. Before I left, he said today's work was very dangerous. I wonder how that perverted leopard is doing now. Just as I was thinking, the cardboard box was suddenly kicked hard by someone. I was startled and quickly jumped away. There was a man in front of me, still muttering curses. Frowning. Having been used to being raised by Oliver, I actually lost the alertness I had when wandering outside. When he saw me, his expression became even more fierce. Where did this stray cat come from? I get annoyed just seeing cats. I'll kick you to death. He seemed to have found an object to vent his anger on and lifted his foot to kick at me. I'm not getting in your way. I hate these scumbags who bully the weak the most. After I dodged, I wanted to pounce on his face and scratch him. Just as I jumped up, I was suddenly grabbed by the scruff of my neck. This familiar posture. I turned my head and our eyes met. Oliver asked expressionlessly, "Did the little cat run away from home just to play with this guy?" Facing his extremely intimidating gaze, I got a bit scared and retracted my claws. Oliver then turned to that man and said with a fake smile, "He's not a stray cat. He's the one I'm raising." After saying that, Oliver took off his suit jacket, wrapped me in it, and placed me aside. "Kitten, if you're scared, don't watch." The next second, with a kick, the man was sent flying. As expected of a leopard, his speed was so fast that it was impossible to see clearly. In a short while, Oliver came over with the man in his hand. Apologized to him. The man's face was full of terror, with injuries on his face, but he still refused to submit. Why should I apologize to a cat? It was just a kick. There was a loud bang. The man's face was struck by Oliver and turned to the side. Next, every punch landed solidly. The man was in so much pain that tears and snot streamed out. Trembling, he said, I apologize. Sorry, I shouldn't have kicked you. Stop hitting me." Only then did Oliver seem satisfied. He threw the man aside like a piece of trash. Then he walked towards me and picked me up. "Kitten, let's go home." On the way back, I had mixed feelings. Is this the feeling of a cat relying on a leopard's power? The feeling of having a leopard backing me up is really good. Moreover, going home with Oliver means living in a big house and having countless cat treats and canned cat food. Although this leopard is very perverted, being stroked by him can occasionally feel comfortable. And that figure, those firm abs. No, I shook my head vigorously. What am I thinking about? If it is for the sake of freedom, everything can be sacrificed. I'm an orc and won't be tamed by a stinky leopard. Oliver kept a straight face all the way, as if he was angry. After getting home, he still remained in a bad mood. I was also a bit annoyed. But then I thought it would be better if he was cold to me. I wouldn't have to be sniffed from head to toe by the pervert. The leopard and the cat were at a standstill until night. Oliver sighed and scooped me into his arms. "Kitten, are you mad at me for not taking you with me during the day?" "Meow." Then he rubbed his face against my chest and coaxed me in a low voice. "Will you let me take you with me wherever I go from now on?" I stared at the furry head in front of me, wondering how he came to such a conclusion. Sometimes I really want to know what they leopards are thinking. But the inexplicable anger in my heart subsided a lot. After that, Oliver kept a closer eye on me. When he was dealing with someone, He had become so skilled that he could distract me with a cat teaser while giving orders. Give him a quick end. Don't scare the kitten. I was speechless. Should I even thank him for his thoughtfulness? Moreover, he actually used a cat teaser on me. He really treats me like a pet cat. However, my body involuntarily chased after the cat teaser to play. Seeing this, Oliver stroked me from head to tail and joked. So lively. My cat face blushed. Out of embarrassment and anger, I was about to bite his finger. At night, listening to Oliver's deep breathing, I stared at the ceiling, worried. 1 year after an orc reaches adulthood, they will transform into a human form and experience their first heat. Counting the days, it's only a few days at most. Since I escaped last time, the windows of the villa have been sealed, and there are leopards guarding the door. What should I do? I really don't want to go into heat in front of the big shot. During the day, when Oliver took me to do business, I was still racking my brains on how to escape. Suddenly, I heard a familiar voice. Is this your newly adopted pet? I stopped my action of chasing the cat teaser and looked up. It was actually Henry, the one who had tried his best to protect me in the cat clan. He was dressed in white and sitting on the sofa, staring at me. My nose felt sore. In the cat clan, other cats disliked me because I was a white cat and thought I was ugly, so they ignored me. Only he took care of me. At that time, Henry stroked my head and coaxed me. Lucas is the cutest kitten in the whole world. But later, he was sent by the clan leader to perform a mission and was gone for a whole year. Without his protection, I was soon driven out of the clan. Meow! Brother Henry. It's me. I wanted to pounce on him, but halfway through, I was grabbed by the scruff of my neck by Oliver. He stared at me, with a scrutinizing look in his eyes. Kitten, why are you so excited today? My paws kept flapping in the air towards Henry. But Henry didn't seem to recognize me. He just stared coldly at Oliver. You hate cat clan orcs the most. Why do you keep a cat? Oliver grabbed me back onto his lap and stroked my back, saying, It's just an ordinary kitten. I also had a white cat, but it got lost 2 years ago. This one of yours looks a lot like it. Hearing Henry's words, my heart skipped a beat. Just as I was about to meow, I heard Oliver's deep voice above my head. You must be mistaken. It's my pet. Let's discuss today's matter later. See the guest out. I watched helplessly as Henry left. This time, Oliver pressed my paw with extra force. It hurt a bit. At night, I was held in Oliver's arms. He stroked my fur over and over again. You're not a stray cat? Meow. Of course not. Is Henry your former owner? Meow. No. He's a brother who is very kind to me. Obviously not understanding. He insisted on talking to himself. You also think it's better to be my kitten, right? I knew you liked me better. After he finished speaking, he buried his face in my belly again. Bastard. Listen to what the cat is saying. Out of anger, I patted his head with my paw. Oliver didn't show any sign of moving away. His breath on my belly was very hot. It wasn't an illusion. Oliver's body temperature was unusually high today. Like the cat clan, the leopard clan orcs also have a mating season. During the rutting period of orcs, their body temperature will rise, and their emotions will also become unstable. He hugged me and repeated, Kitten, don't leave me, while reaching his hand under the quilt. Oliver's leopard ears popped out uncontrollably, and his tail tightly wrapped around me. There was his heavy breathing in my ear, and my cat face turned red. How could he do such a thing in front of the kitten? When it was over, he kissed my face. Kitten, what do you think it's like to mate with a lover? How would I know? But I didn't have the strength to respond to his nonsense anymore. My body started to get hot. Oh no, if this goes on, I might be induced to go into heat. I tried hard to break free from his embrace and crawl out. But it was already too late. I felt a strange sensation in my body. Just like that, I transformed into a human prematurely, looking fresh and delicate, right on Oliver's bed. Our eyes met. In an instant, Oliver pinned me down, his eyes filled with vigilance and scrutiny. "Who are you? Where is my kitten?" I couldn't speak. I just felt hot. My cat ears popped out uncontrollably, and my tail eagerly wrapped around Oliver's arm. After seeing this, Oliver's eyes darkened. He let go of me, and a hoarse voice sounded. "Are you an orc?" The air was filled with a hot and humid atmosphere, as if every breath could wring out water. My current state is very bad. I didn't dare to look at Oliver and just wanted to escape. But I was grabbed by something when I climbed halfway. Looking back, my tail was still tightly wrapped around his arm and just wouldn't let go. What a useless thing. Oliver's eyes were red from being forced by my in-heat pheromones, but he still stared at me calmly. "Are you in heat? I only do this kind of thing with my lover. Stinky leopard. Do you think I really want to do this with you?" I said fiercely while pulling at my tail. He was holding me tightly before, but now he is so cold as soon as he sees me in my orc form. Sure enough, the leopard and cat tribes can't get along well. Suddenly, I felt wronged. The corners of my eyes were red, and my nose began to twitch. One can't control their emotions during the heat period. I wiped my eyes. I won't let him smell me anymore in the future. I tried hard to pry open the tail wrapped around him. But as soon as I touched Oliver's arm, I couldn't help but lean against him. It was as if a thirsty person had come across water. The smell of the leopard that I used to find unpleasant has now become the best antidote. I was so hot-headed that I lost my senses and pressed myself into his arms. My hand also slid upwards along his abs. Still not enough. You think so too, right? Then you've agreed. Agreed to what? The next second, Oliver pressed down on me. "Kitten as my lover, stay by my side forever." Oliver held me down, his eyes filled with the most primitive wildness of a leopard. When our lips met, it was as if something inside me was on fire. I was kissed so dizzy. Just before I was about to run out of oxygen, Oliver let me go. He buried his face in me like he was sniffing a cat. The places he licked were burning hot. "My kitten, you're still so cute even as a human." "Kitten, what's your name?" "Lucas." I was scorched by the breath he exhaled while speaking and restlessly craved for more. But he grabbed my hand. His voice was full of hoarseness and restraint. "The kitten is still young, and the first time should be done when one is sober." I was muddled by the heat and only wanted to cling to him. "I'm not young anymore. I've been an adult for over a year." "Stinky leopard, are you up to it or not?" After hearing that, Oliver clearly became even hotter all over as a leopard. He gasped and made a phone call. "Bring 2 inhibitors over, quickly." After the call, he ignored my resistance, wrapped me in the quilt and tied a knot, then went into the bathroom himself. I was left there, whining restlessly due to the unbearable heat. He's dead meat. When I woke up again, I saw Oliver's face. He played with my ear and stared at me, with a bit of tenderness in his eyes. "Good morning, kitten." Remembering that he wrapped me in the quilt and threw me on the bed, I bit him fiercely to vent my anger. Oliver wasn't angry either. He stroked my head and said, "Bite gently." The following days were no different from when I was a kitten. He still kept me by his side. But why did he still place me beside him when he was doing business? I've already turned into a human being. Moreover, I don't know why I can't control my body to turn back into a cat. Oliver tightly wrapped his arms around my waist to stop me from moving around. He was talking with the other party about things I couldn't understand. I sat there beside him, munching on dried fish angrily. I imagined that I was biting Oliver's flesh. I chewed each mouthful very forcefully. Before leaving, the business partner couldn't hold back his curiosity and carefully asked, "May I ask who this gentleman is to Oliver?" Oliver seemed to be in a very good mood and happily stroked my head. My lover, Lucas. My face blushed a little. Who said I'm his lover? When did I ever agree to that? At night, he would also stick to me and sniff me like he did when I was a cat. From my ears, to my face, to my chest and then to my belly. He pinched the flesh on my belly and chuckled. You've gotten fat. His breath tickled my skin. I was so annoyed that I pushed his head hard. Who's fat? It's really not my fault. It's just that the food at his place is so good. About a week later, I could finally turn back into a cat again. On the day I could turn back into a cat, Oliver was having a video conference in the study. I deliberately ran over. Every time he spoke, I meowed beside him. Lucas, stop being naughty. I'll be naughty. Annoy you to death. After I interrupted him for the nth time, he walked towards me. I twitched my ears warily. Run quickly. However, the next second, I was grabbed by the scruff of my neck again. Oliver picked me up and put me in front of the computer desk. My lover might have something to say. My big cat face appeared in front of the camera. The other leopards in the video conference looked confused. And Oliver was still stroking my back encouragingly and coaxing me. Speak up. They're all listening. My face gradually blushed. I bit him and ran away. Stinky leopard. In the evening, he let out his leopard tail and used it as a cat teaser to coax me. I couldn't help but chase after his tail and play. I was coaxed into a good mood. After getting tired from playing on my own, I lay on the bed and licked my fur. Halfway through licking, he picked me up and gave me a good sniff. The whole cat was numb. Damn it, the fur I just licked smooth. Before going to sleep, I transformed back into a human. Then Oliver put his arm around my waist and said that sentence again. Lucas, stay by my side and never leave, okay? I turned my back to him and remained silent. How far is forever? Those who once made promises of forever have all left me. When I was first kicked out of the family, I was adopted by humans. They treated me as an ordinary pet cat. First, they all liked me very much. They would stroke my head and say, "How cute." They would feed me snacks and play with me. But after a week, they would find me annoying. They disliked my shedding. Think of me as a burden. Obviously, I've been very well behaved. Can't you just be more obedient? The person who beat me and scolded me sharply is the same person who once praised me for being cute and said they would keep me for a lifetime. They are the same person. Later, I was put in a cardboard box and thrown away. After being thrown away so many times, I've gotten used to it. At least I still have a cardboard box to live in. The cardboard box will never drive me away. Except that winters are really tough. Before becoming human, I could only live as a cat. A cold winter has no place for a stray kitten. Fortunately, I often met kind-hearted humans. They put extra quilts and clothes from their homes into my cardboard box. With great difficulty, I was almost able to turn into a human. But I was caught by Oliver and taken home. And now, several months have passed. When I was a cat, he took care of me patiently and cleaned my litter box. After I became human, he still has to stick to me. He said he wanted me to be his lover and asked me for a lifetime commitment. How could there be a leopard as domineering as him? This time, I still didn't answer. I just quietly snuggled closer to his chest. I saw Henry again at a cocktail party. In the hotel, there was a clinking of glasses, and people and beasts came and went. It was my first time attending such an event, and I was a bit curious. I turned into a white cat and clawed at Oliver's shoulder. As soon as we entered the door, we became the focus of the whole room. The seemingly fierce leopard boss had a white cat lying on his shoulder. This combination looked really too strange. Many people also used the excuse of praising me for being cute to get close to Oliver. I was so flattered by the praise that I unconsciously straightened my chest. Just then, I saw Henry. He was wearing a white suit and stood out in the crowd. Whoosh! I darted over there. Lucas! Oliver's warning voice sounded behind me, but I ignored it. I tugged at Henry's pants with my mouth. He was very surprised and bent down to pick me up. Are you Oliver's pet? He stroked my back and said, You look so much like Lucas. I purred and licked his fingers, meowing. Brother Henry, I'm Lucas. I wished I could turn into a human right away and recognize him as my brother. But the next second, I was picked up. When I turned around, I faced Oliver's gloomy face. Sorry, my lover is a bit naughty. He apologized, but there was no sign of apology on his face. He carried me and walked away. I was left anxiously looking at Henry, longing for him. In the hotel room, I was pinned behind the door by Oliver. He looked a bit annoyed. He buried his face in my chest and hugged me tightly. Is it because of him that you've never agreed to be my lover? What's so good about that cat? Can't you just look at me? Moreover, don't even think about it. Henry is my younger brother's lover. He reeks of my younger brother from head to toe. I was confused by Oliver's series of words. Henry is my elder cousin. We're cousins. Your younger brother? Isn't your younger brother? He looked up at me, and I fell silent in time. I almost forgot how ruthless Oliver was in the rumors. My younger brother didn't want to be involved in the Leopard clan's disputes, so he faked his death and ran away. As for those relatives, they deserved what they got. They betrayed me first. If they didn't die, I would be the one to die. I don't want to clarify the rumors because it doesn't matter what outsiders think of me. Oliver stared at me and explained expressionlessly. If it weren't for the caution in his eyes and the tightly clenched fist, Oliver at this moment would be exactly like the ruthless and cruel Black Panther boss in the rumors. Lucas, don't look at me with that kind of look. I was stunned. You perverted leopard. Why are you showing such an expression? I had a thought and turned into a cat and jumped onto the bed. I rolled over and showed my belly, looking at Oliver, and my tail wagged at him. In the feline family, this action is a way of acting coquettishly and asking for a hug. Oliver only froze for a second and then strode towards me. He crouched down halfway and buried his face in it. He started to take a big sniff. I indulgently put my paw on Oliver's head. Why are you showing such a hurt expression? This time, well, I'll reluctantly let you lean on my chest. After he had sniffed enough, I changed back into a human. Now, can you let me see Henry? When Oliver heard this, his face darkened again. He stared at my lips and pressed hard on them. After he had kissed enough, he said, Okay, just for a little while. In the evening, Oliver took me to the room where Henry lived. But unexpectedly, it was a leopard orc who opened the door. That orc did bear a bit of resemblance to Oliver. He leaned lazily against the door. Brother, where's Henry? He's tired. He deliberately undid a few buttons, and there were all scratches on them. The whole leopard exuded an air of satisfaction. Just as I was about to take a closer look, Oliver covered my eyes. Above my head, Oliver's warning voice sounded. Benjamin, stop being so seductive. Benjamin let out a low laugh. Got it. I'll call you when Henry wakes up. Also, sister-in-law is really cute. Get lost. On the way back to the room, I looked up and asked Oliver, What's wrong with my brother? Oliver whispered something in my ear, and I blushed and my heart raced in an instant. Those in the Leopard clan are all perverts. When Henry woke up, Oliver kindly left us alone. Brother, I'm Lucas. Henry looked at me in surprise, his eyes red. He hugged me and stroked my back as he did when I was a child. Sorry, it's my fault that I didn't protect you well, little brother. I buried my head in his arms, my eyes also red. He got injured when he was sent out on a mission and was saved by Benjamin. However, after he recovered from his injury, Benjamin didn't let him go. I looked at the marks on his body and asked, Are you and him lovers? Henry blushed. but his tone was cold. He's just a leopard I've tamed. Lucas, what's your relationship with Oliver? I thought for a while. He's also just a perverted leopard I've tamed. Okay, if you get bored of him, come back to me anytime. I was taken home by Oliver. He wanted to take me with him when he went out during the day. This time, I didn't go. He glanced at me and stroked my head. Then stay at home and wait for me to come back obediently. I nodded. Actually, after he left, I curled up the corner of my mouth. It's impossible for me to be obedient. I'm an evil little cat. I've never had anything to do with the word well-behaved. So, while Oliver was away, I started to let loose. The vase? It looked unpleasant, so I smashed it. The cup? It shouldn't have been on the table. The pillow? Tear them all up and bite them to pieces. The things I had to hide when I was forced to act cute as a child all came out at once at this moment. When Oliver came back, the house was in a mess. There were glass shards everywhere and flying fluff. I sat on the sofa, licking my paws and observing him. This is the expression. Now, do you still think I'm cute? Do you still think I'm well-behaved? No one would like a little cat that is not well-behaved, hyperactive and naughty, even if this is what I'm really like. So, get angry quickly. Show your true nature. Then throw me away. I've already prepared to go back into the cardboard box. Moreover, now I still have brother Henry. Oliver picked me up with a gloomy face. A leopard and a cat stared at each other, just like when he first picked me up. I tried to find anger in his eyes, but there was none. He sighed. Lucas, do you think that in this way I'll throw you away? You think too highly of yourself. Love often makes one feel indebted. I won't find you annoying. I'll only think that I haven't accompanied you well. This mess all over the place is actually your way of expressing your longing. Oliver held me in his arms and stroked my head. Kitten, I miss you too. Damn it. Leopards are really different from ordinary people. Perverted leopard. Why do you have to say such emotional words? I stared at him with teary cat eyes. Crying. I stubbornly turned my head away. Who's crying? Turn into a human, and I'll comfort you. I won't. It can also be a cat. He picked me up, just like the first time we met. He sniffed me from head to toe. So cute. You're my little cat. Lucas, be my lover. Leopards only recognize one person in their lifetime. How about we live together forever? I stepped on his face with my paws. Meow. Oliver's eyes darkened, and he pinched my paw pads. I turned into a human in his arms. Since you're begging me so much, then I'll agree. Well, I'll reluctantly be with you for a lifetime. Kittens don't understand love. I just want to have a companion and a home. Kitten, let's take a bath together. In the bathtub, I was naked and held in his arms. His hands and mouth were moving restlessly. Gradually, the temperature in the room began to rise. My cat ears popped out uncontrollably again, and my tail wrapped around his arm. Oliver mischievously bit my ear. Lucas, I think my heat has arrived. I was burned by his exhaled breath. Liar to a cat. He just got over his heat. Oliver let out a low laugh. As long as you're by my side, my heat never stops. He dried me off with a towel and carried me to the bed. His actions were full of his desire for me. At the beginning, it hurt a bit. I kept pushing his chest. He kissed my cat ear and placed my hand on his back. Kitten, if it hurts, scratch me. At the most intimate moment, our tails were entangled with each other. Faintly, I heard him say, Lucas, stay by my side forever. When I woke up again, I had turned back into a kitten. My cat body was dry, but extremely sore. I tried to move. When I turned around, I saw a black panther lying beside me. The black panther's fur is very smooth and looks full of luster. Its amber eyes are fixed on me, revealing a sense of oppression. Meow. I was so frightened that I stood up as a whole cat. The next second, I turned into a human. I wanted to run, but was held down by the Black Panther. Its big paw pressed on my shoulder, staring down at me. A man and a panther just stared at each other like this. "Oliver," I called out tentatively. The panther didn't respond. It just stared at me firmly. Is he in a beast-transformed state? He stared at me firmly, like looking at his prey. The next second, his big head leaned over to lick my face. I tentatively stroked the panther's head. The panther's eyes suddenly lit up and it kept rubbing against my hand. Behind it, its tail was wagging so fast it was almost like a propeller. This is not the panther boss at all. Clearly, this is just a dog. Next, I got up, supporting my aching waist. The mess outside had already been cleaned up. Wherever I went, the leopard followed me. My body was covered with his saliva. I went to complain to the ant, but the ant just looked at us with a smiling face. It's normal for leopards to be like this after their first heat. This is also the first time I've seen him in his beast form. A beast-transformed leopard has no sense and is just a high-demand baby. It needs to be coaxed well. Next to me, the Black Panther was still rubbing against my hand tirelessly. It seemed to be saying, "Touch me quickly, touch me quickly. You haven't touched me for 2 seconds." I sighed. So annoying. I spent 5 days with the leopard. The most annoying time was when it rolled on the large lawn outside the villa. After getting covered in mud, it would pounce on me. It was quite strong. Once it knocked me down, it would rub against me non-stop. Finally, I took him to the bathroom to take a bath. As expected of a feline, leopards also don't like water. Even when I was about to rinse him with water, he showed his fangs at me. Couldn't believe it. He's really out of line. Could it be that Oliver actually wanted to bite me? In this family, it's always been me who bites him. So I directly gave him 2 hard slaps. The Black Panther was stunned by my blows. It retracted its fangs, and the look in its eyes became clear. It let out 2 aggrieved whimpers and then nuzzled me affectionately. It was as if it was saying, "Don't be angry. Let this teach you to be obedient." I flicked its head. One day, the Black Panther went to roll on the lawn again. I skillfully grabbed it and rushed towards the bathroom. I skillfully slapped it twice first and then wet its fur with water. It hung its head and let me lather it up. When it was time to rinse it off, I suddenly felt that this scene was familiar. As expected, the next second, the Black Panther suddenly shook its fur wildly. I was splashed all over with bubbles. "Oliver!" Gritting my teeth, I gave him several more hard slaps. The culprit just looked at me innocently, with its tail wagging cheerfully. Looking at that look in its eyes, I suddenly felt something was wrong. I specifically asked the maid before that the beast transformation would last at most 3 days. It's been so long. Why is it still this stupid leopard? Where is Oliver? Where is my big panther boss? Under my scrutinizing gaze, the panther rarely showed a bit of guilt. Interesting. It's the first time I've seen guilt on a leopard. I gave him a hard slap again. "Oliver, you've regained your senses for a long time, haven't you?" This time, the panther didn't even dare to look at me and tucked its tail between its legs. It hung its head and secretly glanced at me, then rubbed against me flatteringly. I remained expressionless. "I'll count to 3. If you don't change back, you'll lose your kitten forever." Next, before I even opened my mouth, the panther turned into a man in front of me. Oliver put his arms around my waist and coaxed me carefully. "Don't be angry. It just feels so good to be taken care of by you." I gave him another hard slap. At night, Oliver was lying on top of me, coaxing me. A phone call came in. Benjamin's voice came through, full of annoyance. "Brother, haven't you chased after sister-in-law yet? This lousy job is really unbearable. You should come back right away. Do you hear me? My wife misses me." "Yeah, I'll go back tomorrow." After saying that, he hung up the phone. Then he pressed me down and kissed me again. I scratched his back hard. Bad leopard. Can't you be a bit gentler?